In his introduction to the Screwtape Letters, C.S. Lewis notes just how many people have asked him if he really believes in demons, if he really thinks they're like Uncle Screwtape and Wormwood. And he responded, listen, if imagining that I'm just writing about personifications of psychological forces, if imagining that makes it easier for you to understand, then go right ahead, because you're 99% of the way there if you do it. Similarly, Douglas Adams once commented that he thinks feng shui is a load of crock, but that if you approach the premise of furniture arrangement by imagining how invisible dragons flying around your apartment would feel about it, he thinks that it might be an effective way to make a very warm and comfortable living space, even if the supposed theory itself is crock. So in this video, if you think I'm just an absolute lunatic for believing in the existence of malevolent, immaterial spirits that want to see our destruction, if that's a bit too much for you, that's fine. Just imagine I'm talking about the personification of psychological forces. Because, what I'm seeing right now, this recent, the cannibal in Florida, the latest cannibal out of Florida, what I'm seeing is just a windswept house. If you haven't heard about it, what happened was that this 19-year-old kid, he was out for dinner with his family, and all of a sudden he got upset because of the slow service. He stormed out, started walking home, and for some reason went into another house, attacked a couple he didn't know, murdered both of them, stabbed the neighbor who tried to stop him, and when the police arrived, he was eating the man's face. And they had to use stun gun and dogs to get him off of the body. As things stand, the toxicology report hasn't found anything. They're still testing for the designer drugs, which are flowing around Florida. But this whole situation, this is just a perfect example of the increasing demonic influence that is appearing throughout society. And before that, there's the Uber driver that got all angry that his fare stood him up. So he decided to start shooting people at random, and then picking up fares, and then going and shooting more people. The degree of dysfunction that is happening right now is more than just regular evil, regular theft, greed, lust. What we're seeing out there right now is very active demonic influence. And you know what? And I haven't been the first person to notice this. About 6 months ago, I was becoming aware of a bit of an uptick in demonic activity. I mean, it's hard to say for certain, because it's not like we have a Richter scale for any of this, but there's just all these little blips on my radar. Now, at the time, I was going through the process of going through baptism, so of course I would be receiving a lot of demonic harassment. But others took note of this as well. And what I'm seeing right now, this is just classic. See, demonic harassment, if you think of your mind, if you think of your soul as a house or as a temple, demonic harassment is when there's people outside just yelling at you and screaming and criticizing you and trying to throw you off kilter. Demonic possession is where you actually get somebody breaking in and taking up residence, and trying to evict the deadbeat. Whereas what we're seeing right now, this demonic influence, see what's happened to us as a people, as a culture, is that we've got no valuation of anything. We've taken our souls and we've kicked open the doors, we've broken all the windows, we're the wind-swept house, where anything and everything is just coming in. Itinerant demons taking habitation inside of people, doing whatever they want, and only doing it half seriously. It takes no effort. They don't have to go through the effort of yelling at you from outside, or trying to break in because you've already let them in. This is what we've done as a culture. And look at this 19-year-old kid that did these murders. He's the absolute perfect example of a windswept house. He's another kid with nothing he values in life, no purpose. He's apparently at a YouTube channel where he's posting all these bodybuilding vids. And you know what? Common Filth absolutely nailed it. That the whole bodybuilding industry is just a soft form of homosexual prostitution. Because this guy's posting all these vids of himself where he's naked or shirtless, completely waxed chest, and he's talking about being the greatest bodybuilder ever. Except, why is he doing this? Why does he want to be a bodybuilder? What is he hoping to achieve? Is he doing it for the sake of being really physically fit so that he can defeat his enemies in combat? Well, no, he doesn't stand for anything that would have an enemy. Is he doing it because chicks like good-looking guys? No, he's not even doing it for that. Is he doing it because he enjoys it? No, he's doing it purely for the sake of being a bodybuilder. Which is just the most empty reason in the world. He just wants to be a bodybuilder, so he'll be a bodybuilder. He is so lacking in any raison d'etre. He has no passion in his life. He has nothing. So he's a windswept house. Of course the demons got into him. Quite frankly, even with the drugs, if he was on the drugs, which we'll find out, and I don't even think that's necessary anymore. I could entirely see this, just him snapping and listening to those influences inside his head and going through with it. But even with the drugs, there is no reason that any drug should result in you eating people. No matter how twisted up your mind gets, there's no reason for that to happen. Unless if you are so absent of any valuation in your own head that the mere whisper of, hey, do it would be fun, go eat that guy's face. Yeah, sure, why not? Because you have no reason not to. So this is the culture that we're living in. There's no valuation in anything. It's good. What you can trust an honest hedonist, okay? A hedonist, somebody that's actually going after pleasure for the sake of pleasure. Eventually will come around to figuring out how to balance that, right? But we don't have hedonists anymore. Hedonism would be a step up from where we are. Okay, the gourmand engages in the sin of gluttony, right? But we don't have gourmands anymore. We have people that eat garbage all day for the sake of eating garbage, and they're fat, disgusting pigs. We don't have hedonists that go after women because they love beautiful women and sex and what. No, we have people doing methamphetamine, pumping themselves full of drugs, and trying to brag about how many chicks they've been with. They've got absolutely no valuation in their life. There's no reason for them to be doing any of this aside for the sake of having done it. We are living for absolutely nothing in this culture. There is nothing keeping our souls protected. There is no inner rock that we hold on to whatsoever. There are no locks in our doors. There are no windows. And so any damn fool idea just gets in and runs rampant. And listen, one of the biggest problems with even talking about demons is that demons are immaterial. They are, at least in all the cases I'm aware of, pure spirit. Certainly there have been angels that have come to earth before. They had material forms. But in these cases, we're talking about something that's pure spirit. And we have become so miseducated that we don't even know what pure spirit means anymore. We think that everything is material. Everything is synapse. Everything is, there's a great John C. Wright article talking about this recently that I'll link to below, saying that you can describe chess using all of the physics in the world. You will never define what checkmate is or why it's desirable, because there's the immaterial aspect of the mind. And so you mentioned demons, and again, to go back to C.S. Lewis, people think about a guy jumping around in red tights, or they think about some monster that you hit with a sword in a video game. And they scoff and they think it's ridiculous. Of course it's ridiculous. That's the whole point. And see, most of these demons that are getting into people, they're not going to say something as extreme as go murder that guy and eat his face. No, that's not how they operate. Okay? Sin is sin. Okay? Blasphemy is blasphemy. As long as they can twist something, that's all they require. And, so to us, somebody eating somebody else's face is dramatic and shocking. But to them, it's no different than talking some Tumblrista into looking at some depraved pornography. Or talking some SJW into hating the people that do good things and build up the best parts of the world. Or talking some teenager into hating and resenting their own father for setting boundaries on them. It's all the same. And because we have no valuation, we have no rock in our life, these demons are getting in all over the place. And as for why there's the uptick in demonic activity, I couldn't tell you. Did they open a portal over at CERN in Switzerland? Maybe. Or is it the SJWs trying to summon the creatures? Maybe. I saw this idiot on the X board asking for advice on summoning demons, and it's like, dude, just go on the darknet and find the worst thing that you can and masturbate to it. That's how you summon a demon. The ritual only works because the demon wants you to think the ritual works. Okay, the real ritual is your blasphemy. That's the only real part of the ritual. And for the most part, this is what our culture has declined to, where blasphemy is all that we have anymore. So what do we do about this? Why am I even talking about this? Why does it even matter whether this guy was demonically possessed or not? The fact is, 2 people are dead, and we don't even get to know who those people were. I saw one photo of them. I'm sure they had an interesting life. I would love to hear about them. Instead of hearing all about this vapid 19-year-old that just snapped. Oh, and of course it's significant that he was wearing a Trump hat. But the fact that Black Lives Matter votes Hillary is not significant. Why am I even talking about this? Because at the end of the day, it's a couple of murders. And a family, his family, their lives have been ruined. The family members of the 2 murder victims, their lives have been ruined. And quite frankly, here we are talking about this right now. And is this adding positive vibrations to any of us? No, not really. Just an ugly, sad, and pathetic incident. The reason I'm talking about this is because, folks, you need valuation in your life. You need to stand for something, and you need to be on guard for these forces that hate you, these forces that want to destroy you, these forces that want to destroy everybody. You need to be on guard for these things. G.K. Chesterton once wrote, "What is the problem with the world? I am." We need to fix ourselves. We need to strengthen ourselves. We need to resist whatever temptations it is that we have. And believe me, I'm including myself in this as well. And you know what? If there's any sort of plan to any of this, and it's really hard to tell. Like when you talk about SJWs, when you talk about lefties, and these are just proto-demons, okay? Like these are hellbound souls that then become demons in the afterlife. Like their miserable existence, put that to the power of 10,000. That's what their hell is. They flock. They don't really seem to organize or think, but they do flock. Okay, there is some sort of malign intelligence to the whole thing. So if there's a plan behind any of this, and I'm got this from one of the commenters over on the Rushby forum. I'll credit him down below. The plan behind this, the plan to infest us, to get each one of us corrupt and sinful and broken and destructive. I believe the plan behind this is to, like the SJWs, this cancer that's infected society. Okay, the SJWs hate themselves. They hate whites. They promote Black Lives Matter. They promote Mexican migrants, Islamic migrants. And all these other groups, they all hate each other too. The feminists hate the gays. The blacks hate the SJWs. All of these people despise one another. And the end result for all of these groups, if they get their way, if the SJWs, they're not going to have children. They're going to get murdered en masse by the black rioters they support. The black rioters are going to destroy the infrastructure of their own cities, thus guaranteeing that there's nowhere to buy anything with your EBT card. The GLBT and the sex education and the feminism, all of this is going to damage a generation of children so that they're overactive sex addicts that can't stand for anything and resent all humanity, which perfectly paves the way for an Islamic invasion of North America, and yet corrupts the Muslims in the process. Again, look at these migrants over in Europe. They're bringing their barbarity, their brutal violence with them, and yet they're also adapting the drug, porn, sex, hookup culture at the exact same time. So you know what? Listen, creating a religion based upon violence was a pretty good trick. That was pretty effective. That's damned a lot of souls. But now, if you can combine, and C.S. Lewis talked about trying to combine the mystic and the scientist into one thing. If you can combine, somebody has a religious zealot that uses violence and evil to achieve their aims. If you can combine that with somebody that's a pure materialist drug addict, oh, what a perfect combination. This is where the world is headed, folks. And the way we fight against it is by fixing ourselves. Batten down the hatches, lock the doors, find some valuation in your life, and strive for greatness. All of us are called to the life of a saint. Deus Vult, Aurini out.